Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I'm Jeremy. And Andy, I have just one question for you. What are you willing to sacrifice?
Oh my, yeah. What am I willing to sacrifice?
Well, uh, I don't think we really have to sacrifice anything, Andy, because we're already at the top,
That's right.
right? We're the goats of random, no name, two guys who like movies podcast.
We're the we're the best. You're right. There's nothing left for us to sacrifice.
Yeah, what we sacrifice is, growing up with social lives and girlfriends, like you often talk about. We've watched movies our whole life. That's what we sacrificed.
I sacrificed a lot of time. We did. I sacrificed. I was single for a really long time.
All right. Well, this week we are talking about the movie Him, which is a movie that is produced, but important to note, not written and directed by Jordan Peele. Something that we talked about. People get confused a lot about what his involvement is.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie is it's a football horror movie. Essentially, is what this movie is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to give a summary of what this movie is about, and then we will jump into our thoughts on the movie.
I can't wait to hear your summary.
All right. Cameron Cade is touted as the next big quarterback heading into the NFL draft, and he gets a personal invitation to train with Isaiah White, the veteran quarterback who may be the GOAT and Cam's personal idol. However, once Cam is at Isaiah's remote compound, things quickly become strange and only get stranger as Isaiah reveals the darker side of the league and stardom.
Good job.
Andy,
Yeah.
was Him good? That sounds like bad grammar. Was Him good?
It's not that this movie is spectacularly bad. This movie is just astonishingly, crazy, shockingly bad. Like Madam Web level bad. This movie is an absolute abomination. This movie is the worst.
Andy, my first note is, was this a movie?
Dude,
What was this? This is terrible.
I'm on it. Like my initial reaction, and it's held over since like we talked about. I saw this on Thursday. I'm just shocked at how bad this movie was. I cannot believe that they screened this movie for executives or producer or whatever, and somebody was like, "Yes, that's it. Release it into theaters." This movie should have been buried, burned, shipped out to sea, flown to outer space, something. Do whatever you got to do to make sure nobody sees this movie, because this is an all-time terrible movie.
Yes. So my next note is that I love it. I love that you came in here that strong. My next note is that this is the substance for dudes, except for that the substance at least kind of had a message about the way women are perceived. I don't think this movie had any point other than maybe that football is a giant cult organization. Maybe that's what they really think.
I don't know.
This movie's incoherent, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. I'm sure I was watching it and I'm certain that somebody who likes this movie and would defend it would say that a lot of it's explained by the head injury at the beginning, and that he was maybe hallucinating a lot of it, or maybe he was dead the whole time and this was some sort of purgatory because nothing makes sense. But I don't care. I don't care if the whole point is that if it's all unreliable narrative, I'm out on any movie that just explains away its nonsense by saying, well, it's not real.
I don't care what the movie is or how far out the movie is. Somebody in the movie has to be a reliable narrator. And yeah, otherwise it's like, okay, even if that is the point, it's still a miserable experience to sit through this movie.
Yeah.
And if that's not the point, then like this movie just literally makes no sense.
Yeah, it is. It's clearly like very visually driven. Because if I'm going to give the movie credit for anything, it's that like there's compelling imagery, I guess. It doesn't really have a point, but like all of it, as I was watching, I was like, this is one of those movies that feels more like a music video than a movie. Like there's not really a story. They're just showing up, here's provocative images, and that's about it.
It's just one of those movies too. Yeah, right. It's not even a movie. It's just one pointless, awkward, uncomfortable scene after another. And then finally the credits just roll.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Like that's it. That is it. This movie, I just cannot believe how bad this movie is.
It does make you wonder like where it went wrong because it feels like this type of movie where you go it had to go wrong from the beginning. And yet we're going to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning. The fact that this is a Jordan Peele produced movie who seems to have such like a keen eye for what's interesting all the time.
Right.
Was there something in the beginning that caught his eye that like went astray later? Like what drew him to this is what's so confusing to me.
Agreed. 100% agree. And I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. That's I think the big question you have to ask. Like somewhere in the origin of this movie, is there a good story to be told? I mean, I would think so. Like because that was my initial attraction to this movie. Like I saw the trailer way back at Sinners, and I was like, oh, cool. Someone's using sports as an avenue, to horror. Like I'm all for it. I'm going to give it a shot. I couldn't think of any sports related horror movie off the top of my head. I mean, back in my day, there was like The Fan with Wesley Snipes and De Niro, but that was just a kind of a different kind of animal. I mean, that was just more like almost like a psychological thriller type thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And I wasn't sitting there thinking like this is definitely going to be one of my favorite movies of the year, but I was intrigued. And naturally, when you flash produced by Jordan Peele up on the screen, that's going to pique your interest. And man, to go from that feeling I had of watching the trailer at Sinners to sitting and watching the movie, oh my gosh.
For sure. I think you know, if you tone down the weird of this movie by about, I don't know, 5,000%,
Maybe.
and it's just a movie about the dark side of being a star and what it takes and the crazy mentality and all of that, like you could have had something. There definitely could have been something there. But they took that little seed of a concept and they said, what if we turned up the crazy by 1,000,000%? And then at that point, you've so watered down the initial seed of an idea that there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's like forget any idea of storytelling, or like you said, like let's take this idea of how far athletes are willing to push themselves, and that probably would make for a good pathway into a horror movie. But yeah, let's just forget all of that. Let's just do a lot of quick cuts. Let's do this cool like where we show basically like their skeleton and stuff. I don't even know what you call that trick they use all throughout this movie.
It's like X-ray camera vision, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, and Marlon Wayans just scream constantly in this movie.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Marlon Wayans because I think he is a talented guy.
I do too.
But I do think he is miscast in this movie. If for no reason, it's probably not his fault because I don't think he does a bad job in this movie, but he carries a lot of baggage just being Marlon Wayans. The fact that most of his career he's been such a like goofy comedy guy. The fact that he's the White Chicks guy and Little Man where he played the guy who's like a baby-sized person and like that's who's starring in this, and it's hard to separate that out even though I think he's doing a good job in this movie.
It's hard to unsee. And I really think he's just like, I just don't think anybody can rise above this material.
Correct.
I really don't. I mean, he looks the part. Like he's obviously in great shape. And I can buy him as like this, I used to be an athlete and now I'm starting to age a little bit. And like, I can see him like, cause he's got like kind of that good swagger and stuff that you need to have. But it's like, there's probably an interesting character there, like the guy that used to be the man and now is insecure about letting it go. But like I said, it's like the direction given to him was like, if all else fails, just get in this dude's face and scream constantly. And so he just never gets a chance, in my opinion, to rise above the material.
Yeah. I think if this movie had been a better movie, the type of movie we were talking about a minute ago, where tone it all down and it's more about the psychological aspect of it, I would think that a great casting, although he's probably too old, actually he might be around the same age as Marlon Wayans, would be Jamie Foxx. For two reasons. One, Foxx has that ability to play the kind of more serious, sinister kind of character. And also, he would have that history of like, it would bookend his career where he did his first kind of like serious role coming out of comedy was Any Given Sunday, where he's playing the new young quarterback. And if you kind of bookend that, like that would have been a really interesting thing to do if the movie had been more interesting. Now, it wasn't an interesting movie, so I'm not at all disappointed that somebody like Jamie Foxx didn't waste his time with this. So it's actually a good thing he dodged a bullet like this.
Everyone who's not involved in this movie should be thanking their lucky stars that they're not involved in this movie because everybody comes out of this movie for the worse,
Yes.
including Jordan Peele.
Yeah. Uh, the person who I think comes out looking the least bad from this movie is Tyriq Withers, the star of the movie, the young guy. And the only reason I say him is because it's his first real starring movie. You can't blame him for taking that part, you know, like he doesn't have down to go. He's kind of on the rise, and I think he did what he was supposed to in this movie. It's not his fault that he's just in a bad movie.
No, it's for as bad as this movie is. Like, I truly don't put any of the blame on the actual performances. Like, this kid's doing a good job. He looks the part. You know, you totally buy him as like this stud athlete. Unfortunately, again, he's just so damaged by the writing of this movie, where so much of it is like, hey, the craziest stuff is going on around you. You just kind of have to sit there like a deer in the headlights, and he does. But it's just that's I feel like that's 75% of what he did in this movie is just kind of sit there while this insane stuff happens around him.
Yeah, it pushes the believability too far. You could have had like really strange stuff happen, but you got to keep it within the realm of believability because we could all relate to you're with somebody that you really look up to and some strange things are going on and you kind of let too much strange go on because you're like, but I respect this guy and I'm going to kind of roll with what he does. But when it gets to the point of like murderous things, like at some point you're like, okay, you can't roll with just everything.
Everything. And just every decision in this movie is so weird. So like I saw it with Molly, you know, who's been on here before, and she was like, she hated it too, and she was like, man, it just starts like he goes to see this guy, and first of all, he's, you know, just literally out in the middle of nowhere, and like the first time you see him, he's literally like skinning animals and stuff or whatever he's doing, and it's just like we're just already starting weird, and they don't take the time to like ease into the weirdness. Like it just starts weird and it just gets weirder.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, right there, that part in the movie, I got a little annoyed and offended because I thought the makers of this movie are clearly partially inspired by the movie Ex Machina, which, as you know, is one of my favorites. But that arriving at that remote compound, the way you like enter, you find the eccentric person that you're going to visit. You know, in Ex Machina, he gets in the compound and the character he's going to visit is outside doing a punching bag. And then in this one, he walks in and the guy's doing the, you know, the taxidermy or whatever he's doing. And I'm like, you want to be Ex Machina so bad, but you are not. Ex Machina is one of the smartest movies ever made. You are one of the dumbest movies ever made. You don't get to pay homage or whatever it is that you think you're doing to Ex Machina.
No, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The difference is Ex Machina is a good movie, and this is the actual opposite of a good movie.
Yeah, it is. This is a tough movie to like go through and break down because I can't even like follow the beats of this movie. I mean, I guess I could say that he gets there and it starts doing days at a time, and each day has like a theme, but I don't even know that the themes make sense.
Thank you. That's what Molly and I talked about.
Like things will happen, and I'll be like, that doesn't line up with the theme.
That's exactly, shout out to Molly because that's exactly what she said, and it just give like that was one of my biggest questions. Like, does this movie think it is amazing? Like, does this movie think it is like some prestige, like highbrow movie that has a lot to say? Because it's got the titles for the days and it's like in the fancy font and all that stuff. And it's like, this is just, to me, the whole movie was basically like the equivalent of Marlon Wayne's screaming in my face. Like, it was just noise, like visual noise, actual noise. Like, it was all stupid. And the titles for the days and stuff just added to my annoyance.
Yeah, what this movie reminds me of is it reminds me of those like art pieces you hear about that are like somebody put a urinal on it as an art installation, and the art critics are like, "This is brilliant. This is saying so much." Yeah, and every normal person's looking at it going like, "No, this is stupid and weird." That's what this movie reminds me of.
And they're like, "You don't understand.
Yeah.
It's it's just a urinal." Yep, absolutely. Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Do you know what Molly's big takeaway was? And then I'll stop talking about Molly. She had such a great point. I think we were driving home and just ripping this movie to shreds, and she said, "You know, this is one of the most just lifeless movies I have ever seen." She was like, it's just so like sterile and lifeless. And she was like, I don't think I've ever been more aware that I was just watching people act in a movie than I was during this movie. Because there's not one relatable person who does one relatable human being thing in this movie. It's just so clearly people following a script in this lifeless, soulless movie. And I was like, that's a great point.
Yeah, there's not a real human being to be found in this story.
No, absolutely not. And therefore, there's not even close to having a person to root for in this movie. Like, if this movie wasn't so incompetent, the person to root for would be this young quarterback, who's like, oh, I'm in way over my head and what is happening. And I thought I was meeting my hero, but I'm meeting, this is not who I want to be. They don't do any of that with this poor guy. And so then you have literally just have not one person to root for in this movie.
Yeah. I needed to point out one other casting thing because this casting really was kind of jarring to me, and that's the trainer for Marlon Brand's Marlon Wayans character is played by a comedian named Jim Jeffries, and Jim Jeffries is a comedian that I've seen like do stand up before, and he's kind of I don't know, he's the type of comedian that you would just never picture being in a movie. He doesn't come across like the type that would act. Like he's got a very distinct personality in his act, and it was just weird seeing him in this movie.
Very weird. Very weird. And once again, just an absolutely thankless part. I mean, this poor guy has nothing to do. And then, I mean, I guess really who even cares about spoilers? Like, then he's just dead.
Yeah, and that was like I don't know. Like I would like to say out of nowhere weird, but in the movie at that point, it was just like I guess that's what's happening now.
This has got to be one of the all-time just worst structured movies. You never have any like you don't even know what kind of like climax you're building towards in this movie. Like every day they just kind of wake up and then stuff happens and then it's just the next day. And so like one day like or one scene like he just wakes up and he's putting a suit on and they're like, "All right, let's go." And then Marlon Wayans is like, "No, I'm going to stay here and watch film." And so him and Marlon Wayans' wife or girlfriend or whatever she is, they just go to this event and you're like, what is happening? And I guess it's supposed to be when he's supposed to like sign. Is that what it was?
I guess just meeting the owner and the higher ups of the organization. Yeah,
Okay, it was a meeting the owner. They do a they never give you any like context of what he's going to do or where he's like the general idea is that he's being sought after by this team, but like in the little moments you have no idea what's going on or what he's doing. And then he just shows up to this party and again they were like, "Hey, fast edit, fast edit, fast edit, let's just keep doing super fast edits." And then the scene's just over. Like I know that maybe sound weird how I'm describing it, but like it's really that bad.
yeah. The people who made this movie clearly don't really have much of an understanding about football, like at all. Uh, and I mean, just the how the business works because you got this kid who's supposed to be the next big quarterback. First off, they always over. You can tell when people don't know about football because they do things like, the Marlon Wayans character Isaiah White. They're like he's the best of all time. He's won 8 championships, and you're like, dude, I know you probably looked up who has the most championships. Saw Tom Brady has like 7, and you go, well, we want to make him have one more. That's a ridiculous career. Like people don't do that. And then this young guy, they're like, oh, he's the next big thing. He's gonna touting him like in a way that people, as much as prospects can be hyped, they're never hyped like this guy is the next big thing and he's going to be the next goat. But if he's that guy and he suffers a concussion and misses the combine, it's not a big deal. He's still going number one to whichever team is the worst team in the league and has the number one pick. Not possibly going to be signed by the team that has the guy who was essentially the Michael Jordan of the NFL up to that point. None of it makes any sense.
It's like they just read like the Cliff's notes on like what would it be like if or like whatever the most generic source of information is for like how would a team go about recruiting someone.
Yeah. And I know that Jordan Peele doesn't know much about football because the behind the scenes story that Keegan Michael Key shared about the famous East West Bowl sketch on Key and Peele was because he was watching football and Jordan Peele oversaw like the player introductions and thought it was so weird. And he's like, "Is that a normal thing?" And Key was explaining like, "Yeah, this is what they do, and sometimes it's funny." And then Peele thought that was so weird, he ran with it and went and wrote the East West Bowl sketch with the funny names. So like that's the level like he doesn't even know that's normal. You know, like that was so new to him. That's the type of guy I could see reading the script and not knowing like none of this football stuff is very football-y.
You would think in a movie like this, though, with a studio movie with Jordan Peele attached to it and Jordan Peele's production company, like cough up some money and hire like a like a football
A consultant.
consultant. Thank you. Yes. Like what in the heck? That's what I mean when I say like this is just so spectacularly bad. Like literally everything about this movie is a failure, including how they portray football. Also, an enormous letdown to anyone who actually thinks this movie is about football. Like football just happens to be the thing, but there's really no football in this movie.
Right. Yeah, it's not a football movie. Nobody should go see it expecting football. Which is my interesting thing, and this is not so much interesting as like kind of shocking thing about the trivia of this movie is how much the two leads did try to do preparing for these roles with football. So our main guy, Tyriq Withers, went and trained with a pro trainer who has trained pro quarterbacks, spent time around pro quarterbacks, just trying to like get used to it. And it's like, dude, you didn't have to do all that because none of that mattered in this movie. Like that'd be like if Dakota Johnson went and spent time around spiders in the Amazon rainforest. You know, like it didn't matter.
It's just not necessary. It does not matter. Yeah, and then I mean I don't want to jump ahead, and you can stop me if you want. And then we finally get to the climax of this movie, and it is just one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in a movie.
It is. I mean, like again, why is it presented that the inevitable conclusion was that these two quarterbacks were going to have a showdown and only one could walk out and be the future quarterback of this franchise? Like what happens in the real world? Where do people not ask questions about what happened to the other guy? You know, hey, young man, you went to go train with Isaiah White and then he died and now you're the quarterback for his old franchise. What happened there?
Like, yeah. Also, like, so he goes to like this party or whatever, and then it just cuts to like I don't know, like the next morning or something. He wakes up. Him and Marlon Wayans are for no reason just both wearing no shirt and white, like their white football pants. And he goes in because the whole movie, Marlon Wayans keeps saying he's going to go watch tape. He's going to go watch film. So I was like, okay, that'll probably be something. No, he just walks into a room where Marlon Wayans is, and he is watching or looking up at like a stadium full of people, right?
Yeah, it's like a weird view, like a fishbowl view of people like in the crowd or something.
Like what? And then he rambles. I guess this is supposed to be like plot exposition. He talks about how he's been getting blood from like the person who was the MJ of the league before him, who did it from the guy before him, who did it from the guy before him, and you're just like, okay. And then all of a sudden they just fight to the death, right? Like, am I shortchanging this, or am I?
No, Andy, you're actually making it sound more competent than I think it actually is. No, no, those things are all in there. It just, I feel like somebody listening to us say it could be like, I guess that kind of makes sense. No, it doesn't make sense. I promise you.
It doesn't. Yeah, please don't let me don't think that I'm saying this makes sense. And then so he like I guess we're led to believe he kills Marlon Wayans, right? Because he's like bashing him with a football helmet. Is that what it is?
Yeah, he starts off, he hits him several times in the helmet, and then he just starts punching him.
Right. And then he just walks through a door and he's all of a sudden in a stadium. Are we supposed to? So I literally don't even understand. Are we supposed to be led to believe this is not happening or is happening or?
I think it's not necessarily a stadium. I think it's just supposed to be Marlon Wayne's yard, but it's been like decked out like a stadium, and the cheerleaders are in there, and it's very like set up like a ritual football ritual thing. I don't know. It's like a football eyes wide shut party, honestly.
Yeah. And again, you have no, like, this is just so out of nowhere. Like, nothing is, like, this stuff isn't being built up to or anything. And then they kind of give some crappy explanation about like it was us that attacked you when you were in high school, and we've been after you all this time. I don't even know if it makes sense. I mean, I had long checked out of this movie before then, right? You know, so it's like I don't care what this guy's explaining to us or not explaining to us. And then he kills everyone with a sword, right?
It's well, whatever he has first is like this. I don't know. It looks like a little pickaxe type thing. And then the one mascot, when he refuses to sign the contract, the mascot comes with the sword and swings at him, and he kills the mascot. Then he picks up the mascot's sword, and it's really like cartoonish violence, like over the top. Like he chops the one dude's head off, and it's like gushing blood for like a geyser for a while. It's just I don't know.
It's like it's like Kill Bill, yeah.
And then maybe the most perplexing thing is the agent who he doesn't kill, but then the agent's like starts begging kill me, and he's on like the weird cult symbol, and he just walks away from the agent, and the agent like blows up. I don't know. I don't know what the implication of that is supposed to be. It's very weird. It doesn't make any sense.
It's stupid. Again, like don't let us fool you into thinking this is like exciting or anything. It's terrible.
There's no explanation, and then just like cut to black.
And then yeah, just movie over. The only positive thing I will say about this movie is that it's only an hour and a half, which is about an hour and 20 minutes too long. But I mean, if they can you imagine if they would have tried to make this like a 2 hour movie?
Oh gosh, it would have been brutal.
I swear I do not want to see anyone online trying to be like, no, 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 you don't understand. It's all a metaphor for no, it's stupid. And like you said, even if that's what they're going for, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's awful.
So I saw the morning that before I in the morning before I went to go see this movie, I saw somebody on social media post something, uh, and I just kind of quickly read the part of the headline, and I stopped reading because I didn't want anything spoiled for me. But he was saying like the marketing for him really did it a disservice, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, good, because I thought the marketing was really weird, and like I hope that means there's more to it than I thought. And I watched the movie and I thought, what the heck was that guy talking about? Because this movie was exactly like the preview, literally stretched out for an hour and a half, as bizarre and weird and edited just like a preview for an hour and a half. I've never seen a movie that was more like the preview for an hour and a half than this movie.
No, it's literally exactly like the preview. Except the only difference is a preview, even if it's not a well done preview, a preview can at least make you think there's going to be something interesting happen in a movie. And then when you watch the movie, there isn't one interesting thing.
Right. Yeah. In the preview, you're going, oh, that's weird. I can't wait to see what that's about. And this movie, it's just, oh, it's not about anything. It's just more of the weird.
Yeah, that's the thing. This movie is not about anything other than the weird.
Yes,
I mean, just a miserable failure.
absolutely. The critics have agreed with us, and they have given this a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences are a little higher.
That's
They're
high.
yeah, 28 does seem high. Audiences are at 58%. I'm convinced that's a lot of people just not wanting to admit that they don't get it. You know, they're the people at the art installation going like, yes, yes, I see it. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Totally get it.
Yeah, yeah. 58% is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what those people are seeing. Andy, this movie had a budget of 27 million. Can you tell me anything about how it's doing this weekend?
It opened to 13 million in the United States, and worldwide it only made like an extra like $600,000. So it's sitting at about $13 million.
I can't imagine this is a movie that has global appeal.
And I think this movie is just going to have a humongous drop in the second week. Like this movie is going to come and go so fast, and no one's ever going to talk about it. This is a movie that's just going to disappear.
The only legs that this movie will have is people at the end of the year putting it on their worst list and maybe the Razzies. That's going to be the only legs that this movie has.
Absolutely, it's. I can promise you, it's got a spot in my top five worst of the year.
Yeah, I won't make any promises because I'm always scared of what's out there and what can get worse. But it's got a strong case for sure.
Oh my gosh! So does this hurt Jordan Peele? Do you think?
I think it'll. I think he will start to push more for, or if he's smart, he would push more for. Just to be clear, everybody, I did not write and direct this. Producer, it was kind of a hands-off producer role, is what he should start doing.
Yeah. Do some damage control.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, I mean, that's the danger of letting people use your name to promote something. Is then, if it's terrible, it gets associated with your name, even if it's not your fault.
Yep. Absolutely. I hope he's learned a lesson because this is a blemish on his record.
Absolutely. Fortunately, I think that his reputation is so good that he can take a hit and he can survive it. So
He absolutely can. It's just too bad. I always like to follow people's like, kind of career, and it's like, man, Jordan Peele is just, in my opinion, he's 3 for 3 with his movies and stuff, and it's unfortunate that he's got this bump in the road, but he can recover.
he is at a scary place though because he's at the Shyamalan point. Let's call it that. Shyamalan came out and had 3 great hits, and then that's when he started his rocky period of like rapid descent, where he went like full Shyamalan and became like almost the spoof of himself. And I don't expect that from Jordan Peele, but it's just, you know, as a movie fan, you get worried. You look for those signs, the patterns that you've seen before, and hope that it doesn't repeat itself like that.
Absolutely. What about our guy Tyreek? Is that his name? The star of this movie? Because he's had a rough summer. He had I Know What You Did
Yeah,
Last Summer.
Tyreek.
Yeah. He had I Know What You Did Last Summer, and now this. Rough. That's a rough 2 movies.
It is. I think if there's any saving grace for him, it's that they're not going to be that memorable, and all he needs is a good role to for people to latch on and associate him with for him to be okay.
Yeah, because I'm still not convinced this guy's not good. I mean, he's just been in 2 bad movies.
Yeah, I still think he can make it.
Yeah.
I just want to see him get another chance in a better movie.
Yep, absolutely. Because, like you said, he does everything that, it seems like that he was asked to do in this movie. It's just everything he was asked to do was stupid.
Yes, it was. He did get to show a different speed than like I still know what you did last, or I know what you did last summer. When I know what you did last summer, he was playing the big personality, the big, he was sort of the meathead jock in that one, and in this one, he's playing a much more calm, reserved guy. And so it did, at least in 2 bad movies, we did get to see some range from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I don't fault him at all for the failure of this movie.
No, me neither. Well, Andy, hopefully next week we've got a much better film to talk about. We've got the new PTA movie. We're definitely gonna have good acting in it because it's got a loaded cast headed up by Leo DiCaprio. That's one battle after another.
Yep.
I'm still not sure what to expect from that movie. I'm still not. The previews are confusing about tone and what kind of movie it's going to be. Is it going to be more comedic? Is it going to be more serious? Is it going to toe the line? I don't know.
It is a confusing preview. I would agree.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yep, same here.
I'll tell you what I'm maybe most interested in for that movie is the box office because I'm curious where Leo and PTA, especially as a team, are in the cultural zeitgeist. What kind of draw will they be? Because PTA has not traditionally been a big box office guy. He's more of just a critically accepted guy. And Leo, for all his fame, because of the types of movies he does, isn't always the big box office draw, even though he's super famous.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I think this movie has like a over $100 million budget, so it's gonna have to make some money.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. And it's almost a 3 hour long movie too. So if they can pull this off, if they can make a hit out of this movie, that'll be really impressive.
Yes, it will. All right, Andy. Well, I'm so glad that we're able to get on here. And even though him was terrible, it always makes a bad movie experience worth it to get on here and be able to talk with you about that bad movie.
I was so excited to talk about this movie with you. I know we always say this. I say this a billion times, but it was so hard for me not to text you and just be like, dude, absolutely one of the worst movies you will ever see. Because I figured you probably didn't see it on Thursday, and it was really hard for me not to text you.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough.
I was 100% positive you would hate this movie.
and I did. But I'll say this, and this is the last thing I'll say is that this movie was really bad, there was a lot of the movie where I was holding out hope for it to like do something smart and kind of tie it together and redeem itself, and then it just never did. You know, it wasn't that right from the beginning that I knew it was terrible. I wasn't really enjoying it, but I kept holding out hope, and then the hope died somewhere halfway through or so.
Same, exactly. I had the same experience. So, yep, a real bummer.
Yeah, real bummer. But I hope everybody enjoyed hearing us talk about the movie, and we would love to hear, anybody's thoughts about it. Especially if there's anybody who enjoyed this movie, I would love to hear from them, and I would love to know what it is that you liked about the movie.
Same. Please, if there is one human being out there that thought this was a good movie, let us know.
Yes. And then go see One Battle After Another and join us for our discussion about that next week.
I can't wait. We'll see you then.